One Piece, chapter 1137. And Oda got in his bag for this one. Guys, this is one of those guys. This was so this is one of those chapters that hope every chapter of One Piece is, at least, right? Where we get lore, we get action, we get reveals. It was everything. It was everything and all that. And we're gonna break it down because, man, the lore, yes. But where do we start? Okay, let's start the cover page. It is what it is. Cover page, Yamato and Tama. They get to who's that's funny to say. They get to who's hideout, right? They get to his hideout, and it seems like, well, we're assuming it's him, but because of just the appearance of it, and they're having a clan, okay, maybe not a clan meeting, but they're having a gifter. We see gifters. We see that people looks like they're being rallied, right? Like they're ready. They're ready to bounce back again, and they're having a meeting of some sort. Those could be guards, we don't know, but the cover story is progressing in a delicate, decent way. Just have to wait for more. But first of all, I think it's bold. If this is who's who, and he's trying to mount a comeback, I think it's bold to have a hideout in the Udon prison. What are we doing? But something I want to throw out there as well, again, more than likely this is who's who, but it would not be surprising if who's who has even some of the other missing commanders, right? Like Jack. Jack could be here. We have no idea where Jack is. And like, well, whose face is out there? We're like, yeah, because it's his hideout, right? But more to come. We'll see. Let's get to the chapter. Again, the chapter starts off very well, right? Because it starts off with the perspective, well, we're following Road, Luffy, Nami, and Zoro, right? Their journey where they're trying to find the key to free Loki. So the first thing is we see that they're going to the castle. They say it's been 14 years since anyone has approached the castle, right? But apparently what's going on, looks like somebody broke out of the castle from the inside. Now that doesn't make sense. It's been 14 years since anybody approached the castle, and now they go to the castle to try to find the key. It looked like somebody forced their way out. Well, we have to remember, the God Knights, they summoned themselves inside of the castle. So that's why it looks like somebody broke their way out. It wouldn't make sense, like what is going on? But they summoned themselves inside of the castle. So that's why that looks like that. See, it's a lot going on in this scene because, of course, they're looking for the key. Nami's using Road to her advantage, just whispering sweet nothings that he's just fawning over. But we see the ruins of the castle, and they talk about the ruins look like this. But they were asking, was it the work of the invaders? Saying no, this was the result of the fight between King Harold and Loki, and the castle looks just absolutely destroyed. Of course, my thinking, when too well, if Luffy and Kaido were fighting, would the castle still be standing? But when you think about just the sheer size of the castle, it's like, okay, this is a high-level battle that was going on. But I'm like, Prince Harold, how strong was he? Right? I want to see how he was. Fortunately, we get a portrait of him later down. But before that, the story is, on that day, there were many soldiers in the castle, and that Prince Loki killed 100 of the soldiers, and only Jarl, right, who's currently alive, he's the only one that remained along with Loki. But those skeletons are still there. Some have horns coming out of them, which is reminiscent, of course, saying they are ancient giants, or at least has ancient giant blood running through them. But it's a strange story. 100 people or soldiers are there. All of them are killed by Loki. Ja Rule is there. He gets out alive. The soldiers' skeletons are still there. Nobody else is ever allowed in. It is then from that point forward forbidden. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. To me, the story isn't adding up. There are things that I don't think Road is lying at all, but I think there are things that have been being left out from this story. What? Why would it be forbidden? Why not clean up the castle for the next king? Why is it automatically forbidden? And then this was 14 years ago. 8 years later, Loki's still running rampant. Huh? I need more because something is fishy here. Something is fishy. So we get a portrait of King Harold. Maybe just me. You guys can let me know if I'm crazy, but I'm going to deep dive. But this King Harold looks very strikingly similar to Kaido. And then even Oven looks like him. Now that's going too far deep Now that's going too far deep down the rabbit hole. But doesn't he look like Kaido? And then when you even look at the fact that he had horns and he pulled his own horns out. I'm like, and then even his armor, it seems like, because I don't think that's a tat. It looks like his armor even is reminiscent to Kaido's tattoo. I know. The rabbit hole will get even deeper if we start speculating that. I'm gonna say that for another video, but geez, just for 1 second, imagine if King Harold is Kaido's dad. Now, let's move on. Let's move on. So King Harold, he's described as being a king that wanted peace. He wanted to connect Elbaf to the rest of the world. And he's known as the best king in Elbaf's history. The best king. Like, that's his legacy. Now, what I wonder about is, are they going out of their way to protect his legacy, right? Like, is he a mad king where he killed his subjects and Loki took on the responsibility and the blame? The only person that was there that two people were there that can still talk about what happened, right? And either refute the claims or double down on the story from Road would be Loki and Jarul. Now, I don't think we're going to get the truth out of Jarul, so Loki would be the one to substantiate some of the stuff that's happened, but it just doesn't add up to me. It really doesn't. Now, what's interesting here is Road talks about Hodin, right? And Hodin and Road, not gonna lie, not gonna say they had redemption in this chapter, but I feel really a lot better about their characters after this chapter. So apparently Hodin, or the person that hates Loki more than anyone is Hodin, because he wants to seek revenge for his father. Now, it's not a surprise because it makes sense considering appearances, personality, but Hodin and Loki, they're half brothers. They don't have the same mom. And Hodin technically doesn't even have rightful place to the throne considering his blood, because it's tainted, because his mom was not from the pure blood of these giants. So essentially, Hodin wants to achieve a dream of uniting the giant pirates under one umbrella, but he's not even the kid that has legitimate claim to the throne based off of the blood and how they value it. So what he's doing feels almost impossible. I mean, I think he can do it considering just how torn apart Elbaf seems to be right now and the suspicion around it. But Hodin as a character, I did care about him more after this chapter. I'll say that. Thematically, the conversations here had depth. Something simple, right? With Hodin's mom not being allowed to be the queen consort, right? And it's like, well, she had tainted giant blood. And Zoro's like, well, she's a giant too, right? What's the problem? And then Road says, well, don't humans fight each other over land, right? And so it gave perspective where, yeah, we're giants, but we still cannot like other giants, right? And so then I start thinking about Harold and him having horns. What is having horns? What would that mean in Elbaf? Are you respected? Are you rejected? How do people view you knowing that you have ancient giant blood and you're a bit different than everybody else, right? Because discrimination happens everywhere, even in Fishman Island, right? And of course, we have the hybrids in regards to the giant race, like the Buccaneers, and even Fishman, they have the Wotans. So that part for me was really intriguing, just having some insight in regards to discrimination that is amongst the giants, because I mean, that makes sense. But even Road, right? They talk about his discrimination against humans, and he says to Nami, well, you're different. Selective discrimination, right? Selective racism, where you're okay and I'm okay with you because you provide something that I'm okay with. Very selective. And so that goes back to just not only a lot of One Piece themes, but even the real world, which we're not going to get into right now, but you guys catch my drift. So either way, I thought the conversation that they were having here it had so much depth. It developed the characters in a very subtle way where, okay, let's see where Hodin goes from here, right? Where Road said they became friends because he was being chased for being an otaku and he was really interested in this stuff and they became friends and he's just a genuinely good guy, right? And Hodin, you could see that, but now with the explanations, like, okay, it makes sense. A panel here that with better translations, the feeling of the panel could change, right? Road gives a story about Hodin and how his goal is to make Hodin's dream come true. Zoro basically says, all right, that's boring. And Nami laughs. It's a very confusing panel because again, the translations, we have to wait and see what they actually say. But here's my initial feel of this scene, even with probably wonky translations, which could change again with updated translations. Road gave this entire explanation about Hodin, the type of person he is, great person, has an insane dream that he wants to accomplish, and his goal is to make his dream come true. Who has done that before? Who has somebody who has an insane dream, going to follow him no matter what, thinks he's an amazing person, and he wants to see his dream come true? Zoro and Luffy. But remember, Zoro was just saying he's going to chop Road's head off. He's lucky, all this different stuff. And so to see that someone like Road, albeit in a completely different way, is like him in similar ways. Zoro's like, all right, let's move on. Okay, whatever. Boring. I don't want to talk about it. And Nami's laughing, right? Because of Zoro's reaction to it, because she knows and she's seen the journey of Zoro and what Zoro's willing to do for Luffy. And Road seems to be the same in what he's willing to do for Hodin, but Zoro's like, we're not the same. We're not gonna do that. Whatever. So that was my interpretation of that scene. But this chapter feels so much deeper than even what it presented itself to be, because there's so much that could happen with the lore, could go with the lore in regards to the ancient giants and King Harold, his lineage. If you include the Kaido theory, there's so much there, guys, and I really, really, really loving where this chapter is going. Now, that's not the end. there's more. We go back to the underworld, Gunko, Loki, and Stabs for now, right? And Gunko, they're still trying to convince Loki to join the God Knights. Now, I came across a few comments that said, hey, why do you guys think they're trying to join the... Guys, it's pretty clear. They were recruiting him, right? Offered him celestial position, or basically celestial dragon status, and Loki is refusing it. That's why for a lot of the things with Loki, I'm questioning it, because he has a chance to get out after 6 years, and he's declining it. He's declining it. So Gunko is basically torturing him by attacking him while he's tied up. Now, I'm not sure how much I respect that, but I understand her perspective, where it's like, all right, I told you what was going to happen, and it's happening. She seems formidable. It's hard to gauge the level of strength, just considering Loki is not fighting back. He can't fight back. There's instances where Loki, you could assume it could be future sight, or he's reading the intent of Gunko, or could that be her devil fruit that's telegraphing what's going to happen? I think things are a bit unclear. I have to see a bit more. I go through the chapter a few more times and give my insight in another video. But either way, she uses arrows, right? And seems like a very interesting power because she's traveling on them. They seem to have different variations of speed. They can be used to obviously capture and subdue. So very useful power. Feels like a miniature version of somewhat what Emu was doing with his when he was attacking Sabo. So we have to wait and see what Emu's power is, which I think shape-shifting is a part of it. But yeah, Gunko, I'm impressed so far. I say I'm impressed so far. The major thing from this chapter that a lot of people are probably gonna reference is the fact that she's stopped by the one and only Shamrock. And we see his full design. And he looks just like Shanks. Like I said before, business in the front, party in the back, hair like a celestial, looking like King a little bit. Beautiful armor, right? Decked to the nines. Probably has a supreme grade blade. We don't know, but he stops Gunko from attacking and says that they're basically useless. But based on Shamrock's assessment, his thing is, we're gonna call in reinforcements. We're gonna subjugate Elbaf. Well, I would think one, Loki is subdued, which Loki probably is their strongest warrior at this point. And he's looking at it saying, they're all useless, bro. And we're gonna use this opportunity to subjugate Elbaf. So more God Knights are more than likely coming, more people are coming, and they're gonna take advantage of this opportunity because again, Shamrock, he's the leader of the God Knights. And again, we've talked about this, where the silhouette looked just like Shanks. It's like whomever that guy is, he's the leader, right? Clearly he's the leader. Of course, Garling now being a member of the Gorosei, maybe it's a new position for him, who knows? But it was clear that he was gonna be at the forefront of everything. Now he looked just like Shanks in the silhouette and he ended up looking just like Shanks, right? So that's not a crazy theory. A lot of people speculated that, but wow. Now, based on everything and how he looks, has to be a twin. Clone Wars, I feel iffy about that. I'm leaning towards the twin route. I still think it's insane that we have a character that exists in One Piece that looks just like Shanks. Shanks has a twin. At worst, a brother. And even worse than that, a clone. But either way, he's here, Shamrock. Now, where do I have him on the list of strength? Not today. But guys, this opens up so much with Elbaf because it seems like it's going to be a much more, I don't want to say condensed. It's going to have a lot more going for it than I initially thought. I thought it was going to be lore, more transitional, some conflict, internal, which we do have, but the God Knights being here, Shamrock, and them calling in reinforcements, seemingly, is going to lead to a much more major arc than we thought, which could lead to some very interesting conclusions. Guys, I'm excited. I'm really excited. You guys let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter, B.D.A. Follow me on Instagram, B.D.A. I will definitely be talking about Shamrock and his expectations for sure. Kaido and what I think about Kaido being somewhat affiliated with King Harold. There's a lot there with the Ancient Giants, but we'll talk about it and no break next week. No break next week. I think the hype is building again. And I can't wait. Give me your thoughts. How do you feel about it? Like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter, B.D.A. Follow me on Instagram, B.D.A. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys all so much. Guys, link down below. Watch a Breaking Bad, Solo Leveling, Sakamoto Days, Dragon Ball. A lot of great things on the horizon as well. If you're interested, link below. It's free to join. You can subscribe if you want to get more or become a member if you want to get more. But right now, subscribe to the channel and I'll catch you guys in the next one.